Welcome, class of HC. Like this video on your way in and comment present in the comment section below. If you're here to become the best version of you, here are the 4 steps on how to change perspective. Step 1. Be grounded. To be grounded is to be able to discern between yourself and the information that you are subscribing to. Simply put, it is to know the difference between you and the effects of the perspective that you believe in. In other words, knowing to make the distinction between what you think and who you are. It is important to appreciate that a perspective can influence your worldview and even encourage the belief that you are the idea, rather than the person that is having the idea. Always remember, you are the thinker, you are not the thought. Being grounded is acknowledging that although everything around you can change, you are the constant that takes in and adopts new information as it comes. Therefore, you can think of being grounded as having the foundational structure to a house that will eventually be built. I'll explain. With the foundation and the proper beams intact, you will be able to build upon the structure to eventually complete the house to your liking. However, this is only possible if you know your foundation is well intact. This awareness is important to changing your perspective because once you are sure of your foundation, you are able and more willing to adopt new thoughts and adapt your thinking. Although being grounded in who you are may be terrifying at first, it is important to remember that if you don't stand for anything, you are likely to fall for anything. When you are grounded in who you are open to whatever life throws at you because your foundation is solid. Step 2. Accept growth. To accept growth is to appreciate that life is always changing and you are a part of life. Therefore, you are also a part of this changing process. Consider that although you may strongly believe in one thing now, it does not mean that your belief will always be as strong, and your mind must adapt when that change happens. Consider it this way. When you were 8 years old, the most important thing to you at the time may have been having a new gaming console. A game console was so important to you that you thought about it every single day. It took up the most space in your mind, and you even cried and complained until you got it. The console was your world. However, at 18 years old, your world looks much different. And what once was everything to you is now barely even a memory. This will be the same when you are 28. Your environment changes, priorities change, and your reality changes. To accept growth is to respect this process and appreciate that in order for you to continue to be, some ideas and perspectives will have to be altered or even left behind, and that's okay. Knowing to accept growth is an important element to changing your perspective because when you are aware that it must happen, you avoid resisting and fighting against it. Think of this like being on a small boat with a heavy current going downstream. Your best bet is to follow the current until you are led to somewhere safe enough to disembark from your boat. In this example, not accepting growth would be paddling or even trying to swim upstream, up the current with all your might and refusing to accept that what is must be. Pride and ego often has us holding on to ideas because of how much we have defended them in the past. However, it is important to remember that although something was once true for who you were, it may not still be true for who you are, or always hold true for who you are becoming. This does not mean that it is no longer true per se. However, it does suggest that truth may not be parallel to whom you are becoming. Accept change and continue to become who you are. Step 3. Challenge your own ideas. It's okay to believe something, but be open to it not necessarily being true or not as true as you want it to be. In addition, always be open to others not necessarily agreeing or believing in the same idea that you do. Challenging your own ideas means to theoretically shoot holes in your argument to see if it can still stand. Think of this like putting a car through a crash test to make sure it is up to par with safety standards. As per the example, only once the model of the car is crash tested can the car be driven confidently on the road. To challenge your ideas is to be your own opponent and contest your own arguments. It is the exercise of considering the best arguments that the opposition could possibly have and putting them against your own to find out what you really believe and why. You will likely assess that the more you develop the argument for the other side, is the more that you may come to realize that your line of thinking may have been flawed or needs some adjustment. You may even realize that you have been defending a viewpoint for so long that you refuse to admit that your line of reasoning may not have developed alongside the new information being presented. Think critically and challenge what you think you know. Slowly but surely, this will encourage you to open your mind to new perspectives. And finally, step 4, love. Although often overlooked, an important element that will help with the changing of your perspective is to always be open to love. When you move with love, you move with curiosity and the willingness to learn and understand. With love, you are not only able and more willing to put yourself in the shoes of the other, but you are also able to sympathize with an opposing idea, which can help you to think differently or at least consider another line of thinking. In contrast, moving in fear would encourage the very opposite of that result. When you are fearful, you are recluse and reluctant to the consideration of anything different than what you already believe is. Think of this like wanting to travel the seas on a ship. If you are afraid of the water, you will never board the ship, and as a result, you will never discover the many lands and riches that the world has to offer. Fear keeps you where you are and encourages negative thinking about the things that you refuse to discover, as an excuse almost for why you are not taking heed and exploring. You can be sure that when you act out of love, you are open to life, and in consequence, open to a variety of perspectives that life has to offer you on your journey to you becoming your best you. Thanks for your attendance. Before you leave class today, please remember to share this video via text to someone that you feel needs a change in their perspective. And remember to subscribe if you haven't already. I'll see you here next class on Howell Consultations, the how-to being true to you.